In this video, I'm going to show you how you can install a project from GitHub and run the code. For the example, I will be using my Analyze Amazon Reviews with AI project that I've made a while back, because lots of people have been asking on how to install and run that. We will also be learning about the basics of Git, virtual environments, and Python, and also how to run the code via Docker. So let's get into the tutorial. Now we're here on GitHub and we first have to get the code on our local PC. For this we have two options. First, we can download the code as a zip file, but if you click on code and then we download the zip and just open that on your desktop like that, just drag it over and you have it downloaded. But I recommend using Git actually to get those files. So with this command, because it's just more maintainable in the future and it's a really important skill to learn. And if you have multiple packages you want to download or you want to maintain your code, you need to know Git. So we first need to install Git. For that, we just need to go on gitsm.com and download it. For Windows, you just click on here, you download the setup, and then you install it, you run it, and you have it installed. If you're on Mac, you can install it with Brew or just install Xcode because it's included in there and you will be needing Xcode for later on anyways. Now that we also have installed Git, we're going to just check with git -- version. You can see Git was installed and then we can use it in a terminal. Then we also need to check if we have Python installed because it's the requirement for this project. So we can just open a new PowerShell. You can also open a new normal terminal like this. So adding cmd and opening that. Or you're searching for PowerShell. I recommend you using PowerShell because it's just significantly better than the normal terminal and you have way more commands that are like Linux or macOS. And just click Python -- version. If this appears, then you have Python installed and you can skip the next step. If nothing appears, you have to install Python. For that, you just go on python.org/downloads. Then you choose the latest version. You go down here to Windows Installer. You download the project. You execute the file. You make sure you add path exit to Python so you can actually call it in the terminal. You install that and you're done with this. After you're done installing, you open a new PowerShell window. You add Python -- version. And you see if it was installed, and if that worked, you're done. Now to get this project from Git, we just go on HTTPS, we copy this. We then in our PowerShell terminal go where we want to install it. So in our case, just desktop. And then we do, and after that, add the link of GitHub, press enter, and it has been downloaded. Then we can see if it is there. You can see all the files, and you can see Amazon Reviews with AI, and we can just see the internet. Now that we're in there, we can just list all the files, and you can see this is the app.py file that we're going to need to run the application itself. To be able to run the application, we need to install all the required packages that are listed here in the requirements.txt file. Those are all the other Python packages, but we don't want to install them all on the PC, so we could just go like this. So pip is also installed in Python directly, and then install R means it reads, and then requirements or text file, and then all the packages that are in there will be instantly installed globally on your PC. But we want to contain these things in so-called virtual environments so that each project has its own requirements and they're installed in this environment and not globally, and we don't just have too many packages everywhere around and they have different versions and they bite itself with other packages. So we want to have this more maintainable. For that, we create a new virtual environment by calling Python m virtual environment, and then virtual environment, this will be the name of the environment. You can call that anything you want. After we run that, we can see if it has been created, and we can see the virtual environment has been created. Now we need to activate that. So we're inside this virtual environment and we can install our packages. For that, we call virtual environment /script/activate, and you can see we're inside this virtual environment. Now inside this virtual environment, we can roll pip install air requirements.txt, which will install all the packages that we need. As you can see here, it downloads all packages that are required for this application. And once this is done, we can go on to the next step. After we have installed all the packages, we then have to call our main app. So we call Python and then the name of the app, and we just press enter. As you can see there, we're now downloading all the Amazon reviews as the JSON package. Now you can see both packages are downloaded, and then our app is locally run on the HTTP and then this domain. So we just copy that. We open a new browser window. We paste that in. We press enter. And as you can see, it has opened. We can then choose an ASIN. We can get the product info. It loads it out from the data that we have downloaded, and then we can analyze it. And our entire application works. And this is how you set it up. And after this was done loading, you can see this is the result that we get from our application, and everything works. And let's have another way to just run this application with Docker. For this, if we again open our folder, we can see we have a Docker file right here, which basically automatically runs this entire process if you have Docker installed independent of your machine. So it containerizes the application. For this, we first need to install Docker. So we go on Docker, we download the application. After we install Docker, we then have to make sure that the Docker engine is running on our PC. And then back in our terminal, we just have to call Docker build, and then we name how we want to call the container of the app. So in this case, my Flask app, but you can name that whatever you want. Then you press enter, and it will build the entire application automatically inside this container, and you don't have to install anything else. You wouldn't even have to install Python on your machine. So this is a more direct way of accessing this application. And I'm going to make a more detailed Docker video in the future so you can understand that process better. After we then have built our Docker container, we can then do Docker run, and then we define the port where our application should run, and then the name of the Docker container we created. And then you can see it has been run here. We can copy that again, go on Chrome, open it, and you can see everything runs without us having to install anything else. And that's the whole process.